Life gives you a lot of chances. Life is full of a lot of experiences you can have, and it's all about learning, right? Every opportunity where you fail is an opportunity to learn. I know it's difficult at that time and place, but when you look back, all of it adds up.
हाय गाइस, वेलकम टू डीप टॉक। डीप टॉक में आपका आज एक बार फिर से स्वागत है। चांसेस आर इफ यू हैव गॉन टू अ डॉक्टर, डेंटिस्ट, और योर पेरेंट्स हैव गॉन टू अ डॉक्टर और डेंटिस्ट, you have got an SMS from a company called Practo. Chances are you've seen the app, chances are you've heard about it, you may have seen the ad. आज मेरे पास बहुत ही स्पेशल मेहमान है। आई वॉज वेरी स्पेशल गेस्ट टुडे, द वेरी यंग फाउंडर, co-founder of Practo, Shashank ND, who's here from Bangalore, came down to Mumbai just to talk to us and my viewers. Thank you so much, Shashank.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure being here. Thank you for hosting me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, how old are you?
Should I reveal it? Okay, I'm 36 now.
You're 36 years old and you've created this, not only this big company with a very big valuation. It's very big to do that, but not only that, but Practo is a brand, it's a known name now, right? Everybody knows Practo. It's almost a verb also, Practo kar lo, right? Because like, just do it on Practo, right? How, and you're only 36 and it started from scratch. So what age did you start this company?
I started when I was 21. So the company was founded when I was 21.
So at 21, and you are not a doctor.
I'm an engineer.
सारा काम इंजीनियर ही कर रहे हैं। हाँ, इंजीनियरिंग के अलावा इंजीनियर सब कुछ करते हैं। So that's how it happens. So, you know, Shashank, I'm very curious because, and maybe you can take it from here, is ki you started this company while still in engineering college. You hear about this abroad. When I see social network, or you see Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook like that, but you don't hear so much from India. And why don't you tell me about which college, how it all started for Practo?
So I was studying in NIT Suratkal, and I was doing my computer science information technology course there. And honestly, the course wasn't very difficult because
It wasn't difficult.
it wasn't very difficult because or more than difficult, the peer group was very good, the college was good, the faculty was good, but the curriculum was very old. It was old school. We were in school in CBSE. I already learned C++ and object-oriented programming. Here I was learning technologies that were a decade old, and as you know, technologies change very fast. So it was not very inspiring. So then I was trying to find other ways to get myself interested. So I joined a couple of, on campus there are clubs. So I joined these clubs. And then one interesting club that I joined was Euphoria, which was the entrepreneurship club. And it so happened that a senior of mine had come from Stanford. And in Stanford, they had just established an e-cell in Stanford. So he had gone to Stanford, seen that, and he wanted to set one up in our campus, NIT Suratkal, in 2005. And I saw the poster so it was a lot of coincidences. So I saw the poster in my hostel, and I went for the inauguration of, he was giving a talk, and I said, I want to be part of this. So me and my co-founder were the only two people that he selected out of the entire batch to join to form that club. And that's how I got into entrepreneurship. And because the curriculum was not that strong, I found much more exposure and learning through this club of Euphoria, which is an entrepreneurship club in Suratkal. And through that, I started coming across a lot of entrepreneurs. I started, going to events. I went to this one event in ISB. I remember that because we took an early morning flight, and literally the whole place was, by 10 o'clock I was sleeping because it was an early morning start. And the presentations were okay. And suddenly this one man comes on the stage, and the whole place just gets electric. And this guy is others wearing suits, and they're coming from large companies, but this guy was wearing this black t-shirt and jeans, and his name was Ajit Balakrishnan, the founder of Rediff. And he woke the whole place up, right? And I could just see my eyes opening up, and the way he spoke, the way he explained things, I found it so interesting. It was very first principle, no fun day, no big words, very like things that you can understand very easily, explain tough and interesting concepts. So I said I want to do what this guy is doing, and and that's how I learned about entrepreneurship more through that club. And one thing led to another. You can only attend one or two events, right? And then you want to do something, and then you start doing some small things, and you start doing some bigger things. So it kept building in me that I need to do something. In 2008 I started Practo.
Wow. So this is I'm going to say something different. There is this IIT NIT rivalry, sort of, right? And I won't even say rivalry, but people always assume. And why it's important for you to answer this is because a lot of people watching this need to know this. You do not need to be from an IIT to open a big tech company. You, example, like you don't even have to say anything. You are right here. And why say this is a lot of people say, yeah, but it's a IIT Bombay thing. It's not even all IITs, huh? They say IIT Delhi, IIT Bombay opens the startups. NIT, that to Surathkal, which I understand is near Mangalore. It's a college with a beach.
That's a selling point for the college. That it has a
So
private beach.
that's what it's famous for. College for a beach.
It also happened to be in the top 10 ranking when I joined. But yeah.
Talk about this. Talk about the fact that this whole mindset people have that these big startups are only for IIT people. And you're saying even the college computer science engineering was not some, they were not teaching you anything. Like it's not like sort of he did computer science engineering, so they taught him and he opened this startup. But you are in fact saying they were not teaching anything. That's why I opened the startup.
Just think about it, right? I mean, NIT Surathkal computer science. I'm doing a startup in healthcare. Where it's all about doctors. So I don't think it's about what you start. I think it's all about learning and the mindset of learning, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop when you are when you finish your 12. Doesn't stop when you're studying. Doesn't stop when you start a company. Doesn't stop in the third year of company. Doesn't stop when you're 10 years of company. I'm at 15 years of my company. Learning doesn't stop then. Learning doesn't stop when you raise around. Learning doesn't stop anytime. So it's all about learning, and it's all about the input. And if you are able to do the input and the learning, outcome is it's kind of taken care of by itself. So you don't need to have a healthcare background to start a healthcare startup. You don't need to have a computer science background to start a technology startup. You don't need to be from a very few places only to start a startup. So I think these are all
Myths.
yeah, I think these are convenient excuses, I would say. There is nothing that you can't do. There's literally nothing that you cannot do. I mean, if you if you
Life is not over. People say, I didn't get it. There are literally people who say, my life is over because I didn't get into IIT. There are literally people, because we hear about these suicides, we hear about these things, and I think it's important someone like you talks more about this, that people think it's over, man. I didn't get into IIT, and now all my dreams are gone.
yeah, and I can I can relate to that. I can tell you a personal story of mine. So till about 11th standard, I was pretty much average in school. My parents never really asked me about marks, so I was never trying to impress anybody. So it was just to get through. So I was maybe 50th percentile. And then in 11th, I think I finished 11th and went to 12th. I suddenly decided I want to top school, right out of nowhere. I decided I want to top school. And I don't know who put that in my head, but I just want to top school for the fun of being in 12th and topping school. Till then, I hadn't even topped a class. I hadn't even topped a paper, right? And so here I was in 12th and I wanted to top the school out of, and mine was a pretty nerdy school, right? And so I basically gave 1 year. I shut myself in a room, and from being an extracurricular oriented person, I just shut myself in a room 16 hours a day, 15 hours a day. I studied for 1 whole year, and the first exam was actually a physics exam. I remember this because I had built myself up that I want to do this, I want to do that. I'm sure. And that physics exam, I knew so much of the paper. I wrote so much that my time ran out. So I couldn't attempt the last 15 marks of the paper. So I literally thought my world ended there, right? Because I was very young. I was 18. I couldn't attempt 15. I thought I couldn't top the school, so it's all over. And it was very, it was very challenging. And I went on to, I couldn't top because I missed that physics paper, 15 marks of the physics paper, but I went on to top school in maths and in computer science. I think I was I topped the school for those two subjects, but I couldn't top this thing, right? So I can understand where this comes from, but I think life is too long. Life gives you a lot of chances. Life is full of a lot of experiences you can have, and it's all about learning, right? Every opportunity where you fail is an opportunity to learn. I know it's difficult at that time and place, but when you look back, all of it adds up, right? And there's no one moment that either makes you or breaks you. It's all in our head. It's all in our perception. But anybody who is able to be patient with themselves and keeps continue to try hard I've never seen somebody fail with that kind of an approach. And but you take a single failure as failure. I think that's what I did when I was 18. But I've learned from that.
Yeah. When you first started at NIT, this company, you were in third year?
I was in third year.
So didn't you have classes and assignments and tests and you're running a company? How did that happen?
Yeah, we did, and as I told you, the curriculum was, not really very, I would say, up to date. So we had to find other ways to keep ourselves interested. So I would be learning PHP. I would be learning, back then these are languages. So object-oriented programming came out before the internet. So Windows, etc. Based. But then once internet came out in 2005, internet was getting more popular. Then script-based languages started coming out, and so but our curriculum was not teaching them. Right, but so we were used to go outside college campus, get books from library outside the campus, read about PHP, read about Python, and start building things. So you were already trying to do those things outside, and you'd find inspiration outside. And so the idea was that how can you maximize your learning and exposure? And I felt that starting in college was the best idea. And just to remind you, 2006-7, startup was not even a word. Entrepreneurship was not known in the ecosystem. People who didn't get through college would do this, right? Or you have to be from a family business. There's only two kind of people to start. But I felt that if you start in college, it's a very big advantage because you have no liability.
But you don't have any money. Like a lot of people say, how can you start a company with no money?
You don't need money. You just need hard work. Like the first few sales you need to do. You don't need money. Like you can first few lines of code you need to write. You don't need money. So we used to code ourselves. And then, so for example, from Monday to Friday, I would code in college, and weekend I would go to Bangalore, take a bus, go to Bangalore, sell in Bangalore, and then come back and, start coding from Monday to Friday.
What were you selling? Can you please talk about your first sale? What was that first business? First business was not Practo as we know it today.
Yeah, I think earlier, I tried a few ideas. There was a company called Tavant Technologies. So a senior of ours contacted me and said that, hey, we want to promote kind of a project of theirs on campuses across India. So can you help us? So we said yes, and we said if you pay us, we'll help you. And so they said, okay, we'll pay you. And so we tried to help generate awareness for their product across campus. Unfortunately, it didn't pick up, but we got paid. So that was the first experience as such, but that was a very small kind of experience for me. But really the experience began when I wanted to build something of my own, and I was looking for ideas and looking for inspiration. And that's when I saw that, when my parents were in and out of hospitals, I saw the hospital up close. I saw the ecosystem of the hospital up close. And I saw so many gaps. I saw so many issues that were going around. Just to give you a few of them, my dad was brought into, unfortunately, he got in and out of the hospital a few times that year. And he was in the ICU. And the doctor, our family doctor, administered the only drug that he was allergic to. And it was in his the drug that he's allergic to was written on his mobile phone in the notes. People in his notes he written it down, but the doctor forgot. And luckily, my mom saw the developing of the rashes and etc. and got the antidote for it to go through. Then I remember another time when my father needed to get a second opinion and had to go to the doctor and take a second opinion. And so for that, he needed to get the reports. And I told the doctor that instead of giving me a printout, just send it to me on email, right? It'll be easier for me because I had to forward it to a doctor in the US. So my mother told me, US jana hai to Shashank, I was the IT boy to send it to the US. So she'd asked me to get it to the US. So I went to the doctor and said, can you give me an email copy? Just send it to me. This is my email ID. And he said, sorry, the software button only has a print button. It doesn't have an email option. And I knew computer science. I knew that it's just...
What software was it?
It was an old school software that the doctor was using. So I said, okay, I saw all this and I also had the curiosity to build something. So I, went back and I, with my co-founder, we built a product out, which had a print option and also had an email option. Along with that, we built a bunch of other features and we gave to this doctor. The doctor could now do email, right? So we're doing all these things. The software was called Practo Ray. And this software, in our third year and fourth year, we were able to sell to almost we reached 100 doctors by the time we finished graduation. So this software basically helped doctors schedule appointments, help them manage their health records and do all of that. It sent SMSs when you schedule appointments, all of that. And so by the time we graduated, we already had a running business with paying customers and all of this. So all of this was possible with zero capital, right? We maybe took a few lakhs from my parents, of course, when the starting we did it ourselves, but then, when we had to scale it to hire 1 or 2 people, we took that money. But to get to even 10, 15 customers, we did it without any money. We just sat in a room, coded our product out, went out.
And this was software used to give it to people? Like, how was it given? There were no apps at that time.
So we were the first online software for doctors in India. Actually, we think it was the first one in the world. 2008, we built this first online software where doctors would have to just log in online and the software would work. What we call today SaaS. We had built it in 2007, right? And sold it to them per month licenses. So we didn't give them a perpetual license. We sold them saying that every month you pay this money, the software will work. So they used to pay.
This was way ahead. Microsoft figured this out like after Satya Nadella came. Like a few years back, earlier Office used to be just sold like that. Now they made it a.
Yeah. So we had done that in 2007 for doctors. And so we would charge them 199 rupees per month. And they would be able to use our software online, and that would help them manage all the patient health records. So that, like me, if some kid went to the doctor and said, I want my dad's reports on email, they would click a button and it'll go to the email. And if they click a button, it'll go to the SMS. So we try to make sure that the doctor's technology is upgraded, right? So my thesis was that if the doctor's technology is downgraded, the patients will suffer. So if I upgrade the doctor's technology...
So this was not a software native to the... just I don't want to be too technical here, but it was not like you buy a software, install it on the doctor's computer. It was being run from your server.
Yeah, my server.
So there was an original cloud. Like the cloud was your computer.
Yes. 2008 is when we did that.
And where did you get the server?
Yeah, we with whatever pocket money we had, I remember that we could afford to get a server, put our software loaded onto that, and then
you did not want to give copies of the software like that.
I knew that internet is the future. Internet is the future. Why would you give a software? Because the problem was that if you gave a CD with a software installed...
Because I'm saying this because at that time it used to happen. Yes. Now of course nobody, but
yeah, two reasons we thought this is a good idea to do online was, one, I didn't need to have support people, because if a problem happened, I didn't have enough people to go to each doctor and fix the problem. If I fix it online, it fixes everywhere. So that was the cost angle to it. Second one is I get money for perpetuality, right? If I charge 200 rupees per month, I get it forever, because the doctor can never move out. Versus if I charged one time, the incentives are not aligned. So what doctors used to worry is that people would sell them a software and then run away. So the software doesn't work, who will they catch? But here, since I make money every month, my incentives are aligned with his incentives, saying that I'm here, you're here, right? So you need to use the software every month. I'm here to support you every month because you pay me every month. So there were other issues doctors had. Doctors had issues around security. They said, okay, what if I put it online, you'll be able to access my health records. And so there were these concerns they had. So we addressed all those concerns. They were worried about who all can access. Online was very new back then. So we addressed all those concerns and got doctors to adopt online. And today, 50,000 doctors plus use it.
It's basically the roots are in that same software. Now, of course, it is a lot more advanced and all.
No, but yeah, that was the basic software was built then. I am told that some of my code is still there in it.
Yeah?
They have. I don't think it works. But
how much do you charge now?
We, funny enough, we charge not too high. We, even now per doctor is about 1,000 rupees per month. That's about it. And doctors can use, all the features, and we still, after 15 years, continue to support that software. We have, of course, come up with more and more beyond that, but this was the starting that we had.
And nobody else was doing this.
Online, nobody else was doing this.
In fact, even now, nobody's doing it.
Now also profitably, nobody's able to do it.
And Practo is profitable?
Yeah.
Now it is profitable. Okay.
But this product itself is profitable. So the challenge is that, Practo the software is today only about 5-10% of our revenues. 90% of our revenues is our consumer side. But the challenging part was that people, why doctors would struggle with software was that the companies that would start software would not last. They would run away, right? Because there's no way to support, so we were able to, we have been happy that so far we've been able to give them a stable software that they can use and depend on.
So you graduated from college with this little company of yours. So then what did you do? Do you move somewhere to make an office? Because basically you have no office.
Yeah. So my parents had a house which was under lock and key. We lived in a joint family. And so that house in Bangalore, and they had made a house, but they never moved. So it was under lock and key, and for 10 years it was vacant. And so when we were doing this project of ours, we called it a project because we thought college ke baad to hum kaam karenge, because
Achha, you have no plans of...
We come from a family of engineers and doctors, both my co-founder and me. So we were like very sure ki, this is just for now, and then we'll go do our own our jobs. But then, so we went to this house and we built this, and everything happened in this house. And when we graduated, we have a choice of continuing to do this or take a job up. And this is just to remind us, 2008 is when the Lehman Brothers went down. So jobs are not available. And we got what we call on the campus dream jobs, the high-paying jobs. So
You did get a job?
we finally sat and got a job just as a backup.
Where was that job?
I don't know if I should share the name of it.
You never took it though?
I didn't take it. I think I was placed in a company called BMC Software. So I didn't sit for placements for, the placement started in in June or July, the placement started. I didn't sit till October. So all the companies took and my whole batch was placed. Then I said, okay, you know what, let me just keep a backup. So after 6 months of placement, I just went in the morning. Whichever company was the first company I sat. So I only sat for one company, which was the BMC Software. I don't even think I answered the technical questions very well. But when they came to know I started a startup of my own, because it was a company from the US, they said, oh my God, we will take you. So I took the job. Night I took the bus back to Bangalore. But I never took the job up. And both my co-founder and I, we decided not to pursue that because we were learning so much here. We were, of course, not earning anything because the money would go back to circling back into the company, but we were learning so much. It was so interesting. We're like, what worse could happen? Of course, the families were very worried because Lehman Brothers had crashed, no jobs around, and you guys are, on your own. But I guess it proved us well.
Yeah. So you had a little home,
Yeah.
apartment kind of thing.
Yes.
And that's where you started this Practo with you and your co-founder.
It was independent house.
Huh. Okay, and then how did you grow? Did you grow there or?
Yeah. So we were just there. I mean, it was an empty house. So we just put some desks there and we were working out of that house. We sleep there, eat there, and work from there. And then the software started becoming more and more popular, right? And it was solving a real problem. The problem was that we were trying to find out what problem. So the problem was that doctors did not have time and they had patients. Right, and they didn't want to call every patient and ask them, "Are you coming? Is your appointment?" Patient would forget as well. "Ki mera appointment kab tha?" So what we did was started automating SMSs to the patient, just like your airline bookings. And back then, only banks and airlines would send those SMSs. So we started sending those SMSs to patients, and then making that whole process automated. Doctors also would feel, embarrassed to call patients up, right? But at the same time, if the patient doesn't turn up, 1 hour of his time is wasted because he's blocked that time for the patient. So we solved this inefficiency. By ensuring that patients' appointments are honored. And so the popularity of the software became more and more. So organically, more and more doctors started joining us. So we went almost up to few hundreds of doctors started using our software. We expanded. So organically, we expanded to Bangalore, to Bombay, to Delhi. So we were in 3-4 cities. And that's when we got an email from one of our investors. I remember it because I was in Bombay, and the investor just wrote in
This was Sequoia, your first investor.
Yes, Peak 15 today, Sequoia back then. He emailed me saying that
they emailed you. You never contacted.
I've never reached out to any investor, right? And because back then I didn't think investors would invest in a 21-year-old, right? Why would they invest in a 21-year-old? So this is 2009, right? So the email said, Shashank, I heard that you have a software that is being used by hundreds of doctors and you're getting paid every month for an online software for doctors, and this is what I've heard. Is it true? My response was yes. So the email can please meet us. We'd like to know more. But I knew that, Sequoia back then used to only invest in Google. They'd invested in Google, Apple, and I'm like, Practo is a small company, unknown company. Why would we get investment? So I went to their office. It was in Lower Parel. I remember taking photographs of the office because I said first time, last time, who will invest in a small company, 2009. But funnily enough, they agreed. I did a 1 hour meeting with him, and they came back and said yes, we would like to invest. The only condition being you should not tell anybody, because we're doing an experiment of sorts. We're choosing a very small company, very young founders. So we want to see how it goes. We said, don't worry. We will not tell anyone as long as you give us the money. So we took their money, and within 6 months we had, because suddenly, a capital was not a problem, right? And then we could open up in 6 cities and the sales went through the roof. And within 6 to 9 months, we had 5-6 firms reaching out to us saying that from few hundred customers, you already have now thousands of customers. Can we now come in? But the same investor now, doubled up and came in as a Series A investor. And then it kept growing from then.
So there was a 2 crore investment.
That was a 2 crore investment.
Until now, at least news reports say that you've raised over 250 million. That's around 2,000 crores.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long journey, huh?
That first one was the toughest one.
Was toughest, but at the same time, there's another myth you're breaking here. Ki a lot of people say that you must have a good pitch to the VCs, elevator pitch, and VCs don't. You have to figure out a way how to talk to the VCs. You have to make the deck. You have to make this. Looks like if you are doing good work, like actually gaining traction, growing, whatever, all the good things, revenue, profit, you will get noticed.
Yeah, see, I never went to an MBA school. I never made a pitch deck. I never met an investor. I also didn't want to go to conferences because I felt we were running our own company and the only two things that mattered. Either you're coding, which will help solve a doctor, or you're selling. Only two metrics. So everyone in the company does two things. Either you're coding or you're selling. Any other talk is a waste of time, right? So we would find a lot of distractions, right? Like, ye kar do, wo kar do.
Yeah, these conferences you're talking nowadays is quite the rage. All these tech conferences and VC summit and global summits, they don't help.
I mean,
In general, I'm asking. I know they didn't help you.
it was not my style. My style was to do things and learn. And so I felt that I'm learning a lot more by doing it. And more importantly, I show proof of concept, right? And I show, what I love about Apple, right, is that let the product do the marketing, right? Let the product speak for how good you are. If you need to speak, that means the product has failed, right? So let the product do the talking, right? So pour all energy into the product. Put everything you have in the product, and the product is great. It'll automatically come back to you, right? But if you try and do other things, it's just a distraction. So that's what I've maintained all along. That let's just focus on the product and make the best product that you can possibly build, right? And that should be your mission. And everything else is an outcome of that, because you're going to be proud of the product. And so that the time and energy I put into the product is what led to the customers, is what led to this investor actually reaching out to me, right? He didn't reach out to me because I had a product, or it's because I had the product and then sold it to these many customers, and they heard that we had these many paying customers and we were profitable. They reached out to us. So they'll reach you. So the investors have a very good business model.
You don't have to go to the Shark Tank. The shark will come to you if you are tasty enough, I guess.
That's what worked for me. I'm sure there are different ways.
People say you must have the pitch, and how Shark Tank has made it all.
You need to have the best product and you need to have customers, right? And then when that happens, the money will come. The money is not the problem. So I've heard a lot of people saying that I failed because I couldn't raise money. No, you failed because you couldn't build a good product that could attract the money, right? The product and will get you the customers. The customers will bring you the money, whether through their own payments or through the investors. So that's what I have maintained, that that show the proof of pudding, everything else will follow.
What to do, and a lot of people think raising money is the achievement. Do you agree with that? There is this culture that I raised money, so I'm successful.
So I think see, raising money is important, but it is by far
not the destination.
Absolutely not. It only adds more pressure. It adds more expectations. So raising money basically means you need to raise your bar, right? And so raising money is definitely not any form of That another challenge is our media also only promotes the money you have raised, right? And so money is one portion of it, but it's more the impact you have made. It's more the progress that you have made. That's important. There's so many companies that have raised, tens and hundreds of millions have failed. So
there are companies which are in the news recently, and they have raised billions and failed. They have sponsored, let's not go into specifics, but they have sponsored the biggest tournaments and everything, and then it's all like, I don't know, 75 investors and things like that. But at the end of the day, I think that's not what being a company is about.
Yeah, I think, money to me is resource, right? And it's the world is giving you some resources. And I feel a sense of responsibility that, it's not just the investor's money, it's the world's money, right? And you have to actually make good of it. Now, if you waste it, you have just lost the world's resources, right? In a way, you have lost the world's resources. World's resources came to you, and you or your company, and you are given the responsibility to responsibly build something that was useful to everybody else. That's the job of money, okay? That's what getting money means, that you have to take that money and you have to create something that through that money that's more valuable than the money itself.
Yes.
That's the use of that money. So it's a responsibility that you get by taking that money. And so I think people should feel a sense of pressure when you raise money, rather than feel a sense of pride, because you have to give back more. So that's how I see it.
Well, I mean, people like the fact that then they raise money and then there's a valuation and then they feel, okay, I have a unicorn. Okay, I have $100 million company. I have it. I've done it. I've made $100 million company because the valuation of the last round was 100 million. Is that there's something wrong in that thinking?
I feel so. I think for me, I feel so because it matters a lot where your source of energy comes from. If your source of energy comes from titles, from media, if your source of energy comes from that, then it'd be very, you're on a sticky wicket because that can be taken away also. But if your source of energy comes from impact, if your source of energy comes from your customers, if your source of energy comes from doing meaningful work, that is in your control, right? How much money you raise, what titles are given to you is not in your control, right? It's not in your control, to be very honest, right? Today they're calling something 1 billion unicorn, tomorrow they'll call something else. No, that's not in your control. What is in your control is, so if your source of energy is the right source, it can be for much longer time. It can be much longer, it can be much more fruitful, it's much more incentives aligned, right? So that's how I would feel. The source of energy is coming from, I have to beat my competition, I have to do something better than my peer.
I have to be famous. That's also there.
That's a very tough energy source to keep drawing on.
When you say the source of energy, I like this concept you've used, source of energy. Let's just talk about it. When you say if your source of energy is making great products, or if your source of energy is customers, or if your source of energy is raising money or getting a great title or a media headline, what do you mean by this word source of energy?
See, I mean, I've been running the same company for 15 years, right? Same industry.
Yeah. You can't change your job, buddy.
Yeah, but I'm saying how many companies are out there, in especially in the technology space. So I think it's what I mean by source of energy is that for 15 years you need sustained source of energy to run the business, right? You'll also energy for yourself because you're the leader. As a founding team member, you have to have that source of energy, and that energy is what leads you to build products. Energy is what keeps you running, right? And that's what then flows into the rest of the organization. And the source of energy is very important because you can, there's going to be a lot of good days, but there are going to be equal number of bad days. And how you're going to take yourself up during those bad days, that's really what matters, right? How do you take yourself up during those tough days? And then there's also going to be so many distractions. There are going to be so many distractions coming your way. How are you going to avoid those distractions? So that source of energy matters a lot, because the more you're in control of your source of energy, and it is more positive source of energy, it's not coming from anything else, it can lead to better products. It can lead to a better state of mind, and that better state of mind leads you to create better things, better culture, hire better people, and it can sustain for a longer period of time. So all the things we use today, right, are there from tens of years, right? Decades. It takes decades to build good companies. And so you need that source of energy to build decades of building. You can't build a great company in a couple of years. You need decades to build great companies. And that source of energy is required to build decades.
I guess that's what it comes, or you just said that it takes decades, and it takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of energy over a long period of time to do anything worthwhile actually in life. Not just for companies, for anything. But the problem is today we have Instagram and we have Reels and we have instant. We want to see it now. I want to announce my company today, become the CEO tomorrow, and get an award day after, and be in the Forbes under 30, which I think you were in. Congrats. And like people want that now, and it's too much. Like 15 years, like now you don't sound so exciting. That Practo has been you have been grinding away for 15 years. You didn't just make this in 15 days. For me as well, I'm not in this tech space, but like for me, my first book, 5 Point Someone, which you were mentioning before that you read in college, came in 2004. That's my first book's first para.
Oh, wow.
2004. It's going to be 20 years that I've been at it. So I do agree with you that it takes a long time, and you better choose why you're doing this. Are you doing this because you saw a headline in the newspaper which said that, hey, so and so young kid, they've started a 10-minute food delivery app and now they are billionaires?
Yeah, I would classify media under distraction.
Yeah? Even for the entrepreneur.
It's media is important, but it is not it's not the core, right? It's more definitely not the core, but it's important to make sure that the world understands you well enough, and for the world, for you to also tell the world what you're doing. That's about it. It's a medium. That's it. But to be over obsessed about titles, about valuations, about and these are things that can be very corrupting, and can take you away from the path that you're on, right? And so if I look around and I see an iPhone, if I see the products around me, right, it takes decades to build these products. If you look at the Toyota, it takes decades to build great products. And so you have to really specialize, be really good at that one thing, right? And that's when you've truly utilized yourself to create something that others need, which is what we're trying to do, which is to solve others' problems. And to become really great, I think it takes decades. And the simple reason being, I think Warren Buffett put it out, right, that compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. So I so truly believe in compounding. And if you keep in the same industry, the reason why I'm in healthcare, if I do it for 20 more years, the compounding will be so much more. Every year I'm learning. Every day I'm learning. And, it compounded over 40, 50 years. And then you really can throw an output which the world can, benefit from. And so if you look at Apollo, right? Apollo is a great organization.
Medical one, not the tires.
Maybe tires as well, but if I'm...
And there is Apollo Capital as well, by the way. That's why I need to clarify.
Apollo Healthcare, for example, started in 1980s. It's been 40 years. Manipal Group, which is the second largest, I think these two are started in the 90s, right? 30 years. So
and now they are like leaders.
It takes 30, 40 years to do something meaningful. So, there is no instant success, and there is, years of hard work. There's always moments of appreciation, all that is fine, but focus on the goal. The goal is, to build things that people want, right? That's the purpose.
Yeah. In fact, I was going to ask you, so how does one make great products? How does one get customers? Whether you are a tech company, whether someone watching this may just want to open a small shop in their neighborhood, right? And someone may have dreams to open a very big startup or tech company. How does one broadly, I agree, every industry is different.
But I think there are a couple of common traits. Like I can tell you that for me, one of the key things that I think helps me is that, I can't quit. Like I just can't give up. That's something that I just can't do. Like at anything. Like if you throw a challenge at me, I just can't give up. So I think that's a very important thing to have. I think it's a kind of a superpower, because in the toughest days, if you don't give up, because everybody will have those ups and downs, so you can make it through. The second thing is obsession, right? You need to have a sense of some relative obsession about a problem, that the problem has to be more important than the outcome. That solving the problem has to be more important than what the outcome, money, fame, whatever that is. That for me, if I don't solve this problem, I can't live. I can't live with myself if I don't solve the problem. So I have to solve it. Whether it takes me 15, 20, 25 years is a...
What is your obsession?
Like for right now, for me, I want to solve this problem. Like, that how do I make sure that a quality healthcare is provided to Indians, right? How do I make sure that Indians can get quality this thing through technology, right? Is how I'm trying to solve the problem. That how do I make sure that everybody needs doctors, everybody has healthcare problems. How do I make sure that they're getting the best one? How do I make sure that that is the best one that they can get in their affordable means across India for 1.5 billion Indians? And if we can do that, the productivity of Indians will go up, right? If I can do that, then, and I'm some way contributing to India and Indians, right? Indians are building India. So if I'm contributing to Indians and I'm helping build India in that small way. So I'm obsessing about how to make sure that problem gets solved and Indians can, live healthier and longer.
Is being a workaholic part of having your own business? Let's be honest. Or is it not necessary?
I think honestly, work and life kind of merge together, and you have to make time for the right things. But like if you're obsessed about a problem, to solve the problem, it's always going to be on your mind. Whether it's suddenly on Saturday night doesn't go away, right? It doesn't switch off on Saturday night saying that acha Sunday aa gaya, the problem nahi hai. Like the problem is always lurking in the back of your head. And if I'm, for example, playing with my kids, for the moment I don't think about it. But the moment my kid goes here and there and I have 15 minutes time, I'm thinking, okay, I'll bring that back up and say, okay, how do I solve it? Whether that's a Monday, whether that's a Sunday, whether, so I think if you're obsessive, you will try to solve the problem. And some people call it work, right? So that's how I see it. I see myself trying to solve a problem, right? And that's it. I don't try to classify it as work, and I feel that makes it less interesting. But as long as I keep it as an abstract problem, that okay, this is the problem, I need to solve it. How all can I solve it, right? And I keep hitting at it. I think I'll eventually, hopefully, get close to solving it.
Yeah. How, since you mentioned your kids, let's talk about it. Like, you're married, your family, like, what is the situation at home?
I have two kids. My wife and I have two kids. We have an older one who's 2 years old, a younger one who's just about 4 months. So the house is a beautiful place to be at because it's buzzing with energy and with two young boys running all around.
Did your wife use Practo to have her deliveries?
I mean, we didn't use Practo to have the delivery, but yeah, we did use it on and off when she had post her delivery when she needed some help. We've of course used it even for a pediatrician. We use it.
How are you able to get time? Well, like, if you see two young kids, you want to be a good father, you want to be present for your kids' childhood, good husband, and at the same time, you are running this company, which is in a very crucial stage. I mean, it's always going to be in a crucial stage, but like right now, it's still relatively young. Like you said, 15 years is still young. How do you balance it?
I think it's about setting expectations. And make sure that everybody's on the same expectation. So, with my wife, we have a set time that we have.
How do you do it? What is the specific?
Like for example, let's start with kids first. So, and in the mornings, I drop my kid to school.
School? He's 2.
He's 2, but whatever, play school. So I found one that's close to my office, so I drop him. And then when I come back, when I enter the door, he's the boss, right? So whatever he tells me to do till he's asleep, I have to do that. So that's the time I get with him. And then after the kids, go to bed, then I get to spend time with my wife. I get a couple of hours, and then I'm early riser. So when I rise up early,
what is your schedule like? What time do you wake up?
I usually am up between 6:37, around 6:37, and then I freshen up. I every day work out. At least 6 days in a week I try to work if I'm not traveling. So 6 days in a week I try to work out. So my trainer is there 3 days a week. Rest of the week I'm usually on my own. I have a treadmill at home, so I'm on the treadmill. So I finish my workout usually around 9, by 9, and then I take my son to school, drop him. My work starts at 9:30 sharp, and the first thing I do at work is I meditate. So I have a practice that I've just restarted, where I meditate for at least about half an hour.
Oh, really?
So I have space in my office where I can sit by myself, and I get a half an hour meditation in, which really I think helps me.
Do you recommend people meditate?
Oh, absolutely. My life changed when I did my Vipassana. So I did a 10-day Vipassana course.
Oh, how was that? Is it one of those where you just keep quiet for 10 days?
You can't do eye contact for 10 days. You can't write, you can't talk to anybody. No eye contact.
When was it? Where was it? How did you, firstly, why did you go?
So I've always wanted to go. I've always wanted to do meditation. I always used to meditate. I always picked up meditation because once the stress level started going up, right, you need tools. So working out was one tool. Other tool was journaling. Then you come across meditation. Meditation really helped me manage my stress and manage this. But then I always heard about Vipassana, and I was always keen on doing Vipassana. But then, I couldn't take 10 days off. I could never convince myself to take 10 days off and go away from work and do it. And then I was about to, I had met my wife, to be wife. And I had to take some long-term decisions about, okay. So I said, okay, you know what, I need to,
Also, to decide whether to ask her to marry you or not, you thought I need to go into a Vipassana.
No, not to ask her in specific, but because I felt that point in life, I had to make some very long-term calls on personal side and on professional side. I thought I should, really know what I want, right? I should really know what I want. And I did a 10-day Vipassana course. And in the 10-day Vipassana course, honestly, nothing about my work or personal side came up. It was all about just understanding how the nature of the mind.
Since most of us have not done this, but we've heard of it. What is it like? So you go. Where did you go?
I found I chose the earliest one. So you have thousands of centers. I chose the one that was available to me at the timing I wanted in Hyderabad. Okay. So in Hyderabad, I booked a 10-day course, and it's completely free, by the way. So you don't have to pay anything. So it's free to everyone. So you just walk into the center. They ask you a few questions to make sure that you're not going to, walk away. And then they just give you a key to the room to a room, and so I shared a room.
What happens to your phone?
No, everything is taken away. Everything is taken away. There's no phones. There's no electronics. There is nothing. You're left with. There's no pencil. There's no pen. There's no books. They take everything away. So you're left with only clothes and the basic things that you need for your grooming, and that's it. And then you go to the room. So in my room, I shared the room with a temple priest.
Oh, you share the room.
Yeah. So you get your room by yourself, or you also get co-occupancy. You cannot even look at them. You can't even do eye contact. There's no form of communication. You can't even look into the eyes of the other person. There's no talking for sure, but you can't even look into their eyes.
You can't even, no sign language.
No sign language. You can't do any communication. Any form of communication is avoided.
Okay, so when you leave your phone, firstly, and then you go to your room, I mean, do you have reflex action? You keep looking for your phone, like you're missing like withdrawal.
There is withdrawal symptoms, but honestly, the schedule is so rigorous that you're literally extremely tired by the end of the day. Meditation is actually very tiring. I'll tell you the schedule. So you actually start in the morning. They wake you up at 4:30. So they come and they ring a bell near your door. So you both have to wake up, and you have to get to the the center by 5, which is a walking distance, so 50 meters away. And the meditation starts at 5. So there's one. So from 5 to 6:30, I think 6:15, you just need to go to a room and meditate. Nothing else. You have to be there for like 1.5 hours. And then there's a breakfast at 6:30 till maybe about 7:15. Then again I think you get to freshen up, etc. At 8 o'clock you have to go back into the center. Then 8 to 10 is another session, 2-hour session. So there is some instructions that they give you. So you can only hear the instruction, and then you're all the time meditating. All the time your eyes are closed. Then at 10 there's a small break. At 10:30 again you start till 12:30. Then 12:30 there's a lunch break.
Whole day you don't feel where is WhatsApp, where is Instagram.
You're just with your eyes closed. And the beauty, I just finished the full schedule. So you are now at 12:30, you do lunch, and 2 o'clock you start again. 2 to 4 you have a session, and then again there's a half an hour break. Then again at 4:30 to I think 6:37 there's a session. And then at 7 o'clock they have a half an hour video that they show you. That's the only video you get. And then you go back to the room and you're out by 8:30. That's it. Then switch off all the lights. So that's it. There's no reading, there is no writing, there's nothing. And there's no eye contact. There is the food they give you to eat. That's it. There's nothing else. You have to wash there's laundry, etc. available, but that's it. But it is extremely tiring. You fall asleep within 30 seconds because it's so tiring. You're all the time closing as you're meditating for at least 8 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours a day, for 10 days in a row. Of course, they're giving you instructions, but 8 to 10 hours a day, you're just closing your eyes and meditating. And you really realize what nature is. So you go there with a lot of thoughts, but within the day 1, day 2, you have exhausted all your thoughts. If you notice, you can't think of the same thought twice or thrice. 4th time, the thought itself decomposes. So like that, the reason why they don't allow you to talk or see is because they want to get rid of all the thoughts in your head. So first day, you'll think of all the thoughts. Second day, you'll think of all the memories.
Is it uncomfortable to be in this first few days? Is it difficult?
Oh, it's very hard.
What's hard? Like what goes through your head? You're like, I want to get out of here. What the hell is this nonsense?
Finish it. Only half of them finish it. Because I used to sit in a group, and in the sense we sit together, and you would see behind and people have left the place. And
you said you don't give up. So
yeah, so I finished my 10 days, but
like the first day, do you miss your phone the most? What do you miss?
No, honestly, you miss. You miss your. You feel like what have you volunteered yourself into? Because 4 a.m. 4:30 wake up call, and it's hard because you have to sit in a cross-leg position for 12 hours a day. Right, the cross-leg positions. So it's paining. It's physically painful and it's mentally exhausting. But then there are glimpses of clarity that you get, right? And it's like when you see your young child and you see glimpses of innocence, right? Like that, and that's the bond that gets built between children and parents. And the same thing, in that same way, you get glimpses of clarity about things, right? And that keeps you going. That okay, and you can't write anything down. So that way you're not capturing anything. So you're just experiencing life. So what kept me going was that even though it was very painful and I had just had a slip disc, so it was my back and everything was paining very badly. But then I got through the 10 days, and the most important was the kind of clarity I got out of Vipassana has helped me ever since. Like it's been It's been 4 years, and I think it was almost like a turning point in my life.
What are some of the things you got clarity?
It's very tough to explain it. They tell you not to do it as well in the course, but the most money is completely free. So it's not like you're paying somebody for some transaction. It's completely free. You can just, food is free, everything is free. Somebody else is paid for you. So you're living on someone's charity. Okay, so at the end of the course, you can just walk out, or you can make ₹1 payment, or you can, whatever you want, you can do, or you can just walk out. Many people just walk out, right? So what it tells, it tells you about it gives you clarity about nature, right? Nature's own nature, right? How does nature work, right? And how does your own mind work? Human nature, mind. How does the mind work? And in through that, you also get to understand how does nature work. I'll give you an example. There is, like, they give you the small, room, once you do it in a hall, but then after the 6th day, you can go to a small room and meditate inside the room. Okay, that's it's called Pagona. I forget the name. That room is basically 1.5 feet by 6 feet. Okay, and it's 10 feet tall, but just a very small square, and they'll put you in there. And when I went in, I saw I think I saw one lizard in there. Okay, and you can't do much because there you can't even hurt animals. You have to watch when you walk. You have to make sure they're not touching ants. So I had to meditate in a room to 1.5 feet by 6 feet with a lizard in that room. So you get over those things in your mind, right? You overcome those things. And so, when you finish the Vipassana, at least for me, it was a moment of clarity of how my mind works, right? How much we are influenced, right? How our subconscious works, how strong we are, how much we can actually bear, how much is our strength, our true strength, and how the mind plays games on you, right? Telling you what you can do. There's a voice in your head, right? And how that voice in your head, and you can actually start observing that voice. And so Vipassana trains you to be very aware. It trains you to understand yourself, to understand your own biases, you to understand, that voice talking in your head, what's it saying and why is it saying that. So it's like a voice behind the voice, right? And so actually they don't call it a voice, but it's an awareness. So you're just noticing, okay, yeah, it creates a huge degree of self-awareness.
Does it last afterwards? You think you've fundamentally changed?
I think it's a irreversible experience, because once you experience it, you can't reverse it, right? I mean, it is, you have experienced it. You can read it in books, but when you experience it, it's very different, right? It's, you can always read about how to be a parent, but when you be a parent and you see that, it's very different, right? It's reading versus being. So same thing there. If you read and you are doing it, it's very different. And I have, of course, changed, but of course, I have not, I've restarted my practice of meditation now, but it's not the same as it was before. I'm trying to. I'm trying to get there, but yeah.
What happens when you finally get your phone after 10 days? Did you have like thousands of messages?
You get to see
all the Practo mails.
Yeah, I mean,
the whole app is not working. Where is sir gone?
My team is phenomenal. They took care of everything. I was overestimating my need, to be honest. Nobody really at work missed my any challenge that they have with me. But the first thing I did was I actually called my parents, because you realize how much sacrifices they have made in your life, right? And so during Vipassana, a lot of things come back to you, a lot of deep state, because you're running through. Imagine you're getting no stimuli, you're getting no new information, you're getting no news, you're getting nothing. So the brain is hungry for information. So it brings out a lot of your past. It brings out a lot of your, emotions, memories, all of it, and it exhausts all that, base information as well. So I called up my parents. I was telling them how grateful I am, and then I called up, my friends, and but honestly, it's tough to get back. It's not easy. It's not easy. So
now you're out of society. You're like, I can't fit back in this.
Yeah, it's tough to talk after 10 days. So it took me 1 day to genuinely start talking again.
Wow.
It took me a day almost. So they actually make you stay 1 extra day to just recover.
Yeah. Don't just go back to society.
Make you integrate and then go back.
Yeah. Let's come back to healthcare. A lot of people now say that there is some ethical issues going around, and in not Practo related, but like healthcare related. So since you know that industry well, I thought it'll be good to get your views. Some people say it's become very expensive. Indian hospitals now, the private hospitals charge a lot. Like the bills are floating around on social media, especially COVID time. Hospitals overcharging lakhs and lakhs. So is it an industry which is to make money, healthcare, or is it an industry for public good? Because even for big pharma, people say that it was a whole conspiracy. They wanted everybody to have the vaccine, or like big pharma wants to keep you sick and keep you on, like, which I call subscription model diseases. Like, they don't want to cure you. They love diabetes because it's every month. They love the hormonal therapy because that's every month. Like, something that is for life is great for big pharma, for profits. But curing people, like give one pill and people become okay, or telling people that, hey, just eat healthy and you will not have these 5 diseases, there's no money in that. I mean, what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I think these are a very important question. I think there are a couple of them. So the first one about prices, right? I think in India, every ecosystem is different. India, I think, does have this trust deficit, but the Indian healthcare ecosystem is built on trust. Yeah, there is healthcare available at all price points. That's the beauty of the Indian healthcare, right? It's just like in Mumbai, you can live at any income level, you can have a living. Same way in India, healthcare is available at all levels, right? And it's up to the person's choice. Now, whether the person, let's say if you spend 80 percentile, you could get 80 percentile quality healthcare, right? Now, if you want 90th percentile, you have to spend that money because there is a cost associated to it, right, to make that happen. And when you talk about profits, right, so I think the first thing to understand is that there is this, there are, let's say, a knee surgery is possible to be done at 10 lakhs as well, at 5 lakhs, at 2 lakhs, at even less than a lakh as well. There are different price points is available at. But of course, there are varying factors to it, right? If you want different other factors, the cost moves up. So I think the one challenge India has is that we don't have price transparency. In other countries like US and others, insurance has already done all the groundwork on pricing, etc. So you don't have to just trust the insurance company. Insurance company takes care of everything. But in India, because insurance is still growing, people have to take that choice, where to go, which price point to take it at, which price not to take it at. So there are different price points. Now, if somebody goes to a knee surgery and gets it done at 10 lakhs and complains that it's too expensive, they had a choice of doing it at 2.5. They had a choice of doing it at 1. They had a choice of doing it at lower also. So the more we increase price transparency, telling people that you have a choice, there is a variation because the quality varies like any other field. You should choose. I think it's very important to keep the healthcare market incentives aligned, right? Because the moment you take away profits, then you take away investments as well. And investments are very important in healthcare. That's why people, regard, like there are states in India which have price caps on a lot of treatments. Because of those price caps on a lot of treatments, not just, because of those price caps, the hospital shut down. The state has very poor healthcare now because after 5-10 years, because profit pools went into losses, nobody put money back in. So when money didn't go back in, hospitals started shrinking. Now that state, actually people from that state travel to all other states to get treatment done because the treatment quality is now degraded. So I think it's important to keep market dynamics going because the moment there is going to be profits, then there will be more investment coming in. The more investment come, more choices come up. More choices come up, more patients benefit because prices will eventually come down. So I think I'm definitely, I think I'm a big believer in the invisible hand. The whole concept of Adam Smith of how the invisible hand works and how free market economics is the best for people is what I believe in. I do think that if patents and life-saving drugs, some of these, if we don't give patents out and we keep the prices to some degree controlled, except that exception, I think most of the rest of the healthcare can be market driven, and that will be the best because then you can attract talent to it. You can attract the best minds go to healthcare. When the best minds go to healthcare, then they're coming up with solutions, they're coming up with innovative solutions. Now, coming to the second point that you made about people not solving for like diabetes as an example, instead of solving the core problem, people are ready to feed the disease, right, by giving insulin. So we have a Practo transform where we actually have a program where we take you off medicines, right? We actually today treat hundreds of patients where you join a Practo transform program, and if you are coming to us with diabetes of H1B1C of more than 8, 9, 10 and taking 5, 6, 7, 8 pills, we have taken people from that to 0 pills and sustained them, right? Because we get a dietitian, an exercise person, a fitness person, and an endocrinologist to work as a team together. And together as a team, a doctor and these two help the patient to recover from 10 medicines a day to 0, right? And that's why it's called Practo Transform. We transform their lives. So, and people pay for it. People pay for that program, take it, and they now know that if I pay one-time fee to Practo and take this Practo Transform, I'm free from all the medication I have to spend for. So, if market dynamics, market plays a free hand, right? These kind of solutions will come up, and awareness will be spread, and people will realize that I have a choice. Either I can spend money on medicines and other things, or I can take a program like this and get out of it. So more awareness will, I think, solve the problem, in my opinion. I feel in India we are blessed to have good healthcare. I think at all various price points. I think India is blessed to have very good engineers, very good doctors, and we export our engineers. And so, luckily enough, we can't export our doctors, which basically means that if they go to other countries, they have to redo the exam there. Because you redo the exam, most of them stay in India. Because they stay in India, you and I get some of the best healthcare at very affordable prices, in my opinion.
Okay. As we've been talking for an hour, so as we get to a close, what would you like to tell people who watch my channel? A lot of people are interested in improving themselves, self-improvement channel, motivation, discipline, and many of them want to, maybe looking at you, get inspired to open their own startup or their own company. What are some of the key, tips, 2 or 3 tips you would give to them?
I think you're really ready to start something of your own if you know that the outcome has no money, no fame, nothing. If the end outcome is a good product and few good happy customers, if you're okay with that kind of outcome and you're still passionate to every day go in and grind yourself, then I think you're ready. But if you're only looking for the good and not the bad, then I think people need to give it some time. So I think it's very important that you start when you're aligned with your passion, and you know that even if nobody paid me any money, I would still do this. Yeah. That's my litmus test, right? If even today, if nobody paid me anything, would I still do this? That's the litmus test that one should go through. Of course, I was able to do that when I was 21, 22, and I had very less dependencies. Of course, if you have a family, then having a modest lifestyle and still being okay doing it with that, right? Others having their fancy trips, etc. But you are if you're still okay with that outcome, I think then you are ready. But I think the world has a lot of things to build, a lot of products to solve. India's so much.
Still companies to be opened, because a lot of people also think now everything has been done.
Not at all, not at all. I mean, there's so many problems. There are so many opportunities. The universe is very large. There's so many problems to solve. There's opportunities all around. In fact, now is much more easier to start than it was 10 years back. So every decade it gets easier. That's what our job is, right? Our job is to make sure that for our children it's easier. Luckily, our parents did that. I'm sure their parents did that for them. So we have done it for our next generation. So it's going to get easier and easier. I think people should make sure that their source of energy is pure and coming from the right place. And then everything else is an outcome. You take care of the input, the outcome will be taken care of itself.
The source of energy, like you said, that I think has been the high point of my learning here. It's like the intentionality. It's like where the intentions are. Shashank, I hope you enjoyed this experience. It was really nice to have you. Any thoughts on being here at this podcast today?
Right. I didn't know how the time flew by, and the conversation was very interesting. And also, thank you for a beautiful, wonderful lunch that I had.
Yes, we had lunch before, guys.
And that was also phenomenal, and I had a lovely time. So thank you so much for inviting me.
What if people want to work in Practo? What can they do? What's the best way?
Yeah, our website has all the roles that are open. People can write into us, and we'll be very happy to have a Praction hired.
That's what they call them? Okay, good. Okay, guys. So that was Shashank ND for you, who shared all his journey, his tips, and I think it gives a lot of hope and confidence to anyone who wants to become an entrepreneur and become something on their own. Thank you, guys. अगर आपने अब तक देखा है, if you're watching it till now, then you know what you have to do. Like, subscribe, share. Maybe you already do. So thank you for that. If you don't, please do it. Please help us with this kind of content, which I do to mainly inspire people to get the true heroes of India today. Thank you, guys, for watching. Take care.